Next question. It's a good one. My answer will probably not be so conventional. I ask for forgiveness in advance. Any advice for when one does not have kavanah to pray, they don't have intention to pray, or to enhance one's kavanah, or maybe any tools on how to increase your kavanah? Advice could be from yourself, HaRav Yaakov Peretz, or from the Chachamim as you learned it. This is such a good question. Netanel Zev, thank you. Maran in the Shulchan Aruch writes in chapter 1, Halakha Daled, Maran here is quoting the tool. Tov me'at tachanunim b'chavana, meharbot b'lo chavana. It's better to pray a little bit with kavanah than to pray a lot without kavanah. Of course, if someone prays a lot and they have kavanah, that's the best, right? You're talking about a person who's struggling with kavanah. So what can I do? The first advice that Maran gives is it's about quality, not quantity. I see people, they come to Beit Knesset, the Siddur was this big. Then they get through all the pages and they're buzzing and they're running, or the Hebrew reading is not so great, or their understanding is not so great, or whatever it is. Sometimes you go to Kehillat and the Kehillat is not so great. They're praying like they're running out of Egypt. That's the type of nosach they pray. Nosach Yetziat Mitzrayim. Maran's first advice is to pray less with more. To pray less words but with more kavanah. This is not something that was never acted upon. Let me quote you from the writings of Rabbi Chaim Palaji. Rabbi Chaim Palaji, unbelievable Chacham. You know, his books, so many of his books are out of print. He wrote, I don't know, I counted maybe 100 books. Almost all of them are out of print. Rabbi Chaim Palaji writes, Me'id ani shamay va'aretz, I call heaven and earth to be my witnesses. Ki shamati me'agaon ha'mefursam Mor Zkeni, I heard from the great genius, the famous rabbi, my grandfather, HaRav Agaon Bal Chikre Lev, Or HaYareach, the author of Chikre Lev, the light of the moon. What is Or HaYareach? Yareach stands for his name, Yosef Rafael Chazan, the famous Rabbi Yosef Rafael Chazan. Ki hu omer marla b'pumeh, he would always say, always in his mouth, it was constant, Dim hayalo arevut gamur, that if he would have complete guarantee, ve'edut berua biyado, and clear testimony in his hands, shayu mechavnim kavanah shlema, that the people would pray with proper kavanah, hayam mechaser ha'tefillah ad kimat min baruch shamar v'yotzer u'tfilat yudchet v'lo od. Pretty much you would abridge the Siddur from Baruch Shamar to the blessings of Shema, to the Amidah, v'lo od, and nothing more. U'leshanot miminhag harishonim, and he would abolish all of the prayers of the Rishonim. Meaning his idea of an abridged Siddur, Baruch Shamar Tishtabach, Yotzer Or until Gal Yisrael, 19 blessings of the Amidah, v'zehu. אבל מה נעשה? But what can we do? אין לי אות ומופת וראיה ברורה שעל ידי זה שיהיה מחסר שאומרים בכוונה. He says, I have no guarantee that if I abridge the Siddur, the people will even say that one with kavanah. ואם כן, מה הועילו חכמים בתקנתם? And if I'm going to abridge and they still don't have kavanah, so what did my help? How did I help anybody? לחסר דברים משום kavanah. I'm only going to abridge in order to assist kavanah, but if I abridge and there's no kavanah, לא יהיו מכוונים. So what should I do? זה תוכן דברי מורי זקני. This is the words of my grandfather. HaRav Peretz believes in this very strongly. And very often when it comes in our Kehillat to things, we're not afraid to be mekatzer. I'm not going to give examples. I know that the haters are going to hate me even more. But there are times where there's certain parts of Tefillah we don't have right now. The day Tefillah has been taking too long, Musaf is taking too long, the rabbi spoke too long, whatever it's going to be. Don't be afraid. It's better to do less with more kavanah. You need advice exactly which parts of the Siddur are able to be omitted and which are not. Fine, talk to me. I know the Mekubalim talk about pipes of Shefa and what. I already told you before. If you understand that and that works for you, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about din, halakha. In our community, we act this way. Rabbi Ben Zaken should live and be well. Rabbi Ben Zaken is on our Bedin, the Shiviti Betadin. He's the senior rabbi in Betadin. If it was up to me, he would be the senior rabbi for the whole world. Ben Zaken is an ish chesed, has done chesed with me since before he knew me, not from when he knew me, for instance, before he knew me. Ad etzem hayom hazeh. I'm very lucky to have a friend like him. And all of you at Shiviti are lucky to have a friend like him also. HaRav Ben Zaken in his high school, I once had the zechut to go on a tour of his high school. HaRav Ben Zaken has a rule in his school. If there's Sephardim or Ashkenazim in the school, he told me that he's not particular about which nosach they use. But the tefillah has to be loud and clear. No mumbling, no bumbling, no muttering, loud and clear. It's a ta'anug, I heard them pray mincha. It's a ta'anug to hear mincha. The boys and the girls, and they pray beautifully with Kavanah. You know, I think that there's a famous Israeli comedy show back in the time of the 50s, 60s. They said they went to an Ashkenazi synagogue and all they found is the first sentence and the last sentence of every paragraph. It's first, last sentence. Even the art scroll, they have little dots to tell you the Chazan raises his voice here and lower your voice here. It's unusual to pray everything quiet and mumbling. How are we supposed to know the words? You can't compare. When you go to Beit Knesset, Lechu neranena l'Adonai nari'a letzur yishenu. You're hearing the words, you're singing the words. That's the third thing Rabbi Ben Zaken did not say. Shira, singing. Peleo Etz writes about all those people who they come to Hallel and they mumble the words. They say, what about Hallel is a song. To sing to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I think the Ashkenazim do a better job than Sephardim about this, in my opinion. A lot of songs in the Hallel. In our community, it's a hybrid of all types of songs. But to sing together, Hallel, Hodu l'Adonai ki tov, ki l'olam chesdo. You're thanking Borei Olam. What are you mumbling those words? Loud, clear, singing. That's the way you have Kavanah. Loud, clear, singing. And before that, to abridge. Cut out the things you cannot have Kavanah for. Focus on the things you have Kavanah for. Say them loud, say them clear, say them with singing. And if I can be so bold as to quote you advice from a Hasidic master. I once saw in the writings of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. I think it's in his book, Sichot Haran, it's called. He writes that a person shouldn't try too hard for Kavanah. It's the psychology of a person that when you focus on getting a bad thought out of your mind, or you focus on, then you actually focus on the problem instead of getting rid of the problem. Rather, he says an interesting play on words. Rabot machashavot b'levish, v'atzat Adonai hitakum. A lot of thoughts run through the mind of a person, but at the end of the day, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, that's what Hashem knows how to accept your tefillah. Hashem knows your struggles. Hashem knows struggles with Kavanah. Hashem knows you had a long day. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a big HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Our cousins say, Allahu Akbar. Hashem is great. He's really great. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is bigger than anything we can imagine. He's able to handle tefillah. Sometimes it doesn't have perfect Kavanah. Yes, our rabbis tell us, tefillah below Kavanah, there's no value really to tefillah without kavanah. Okay, don't let that stop you from praying. But yes, focus. Focus on the parts of tefillah you have to say. Sometimes by the time people get to, what's the ikar of tefillah? Amidah. And before that, Shema Yisrael, Deoraita. By the time people have done all their korbanot and their patach Eliyahu zechulatov and all the psukei zimav, the Shabbat, the other 100 tehillim they had before then, and then Yigdal Elohim Chai in Ha-Deret Ve'emunah, all kinds of that. But by the time they come, by the time they get to Shema Yisrael, they don't have kavanah anymore. I had kavanah for the first hour and a half of tefillah. But now, what's the important part? I don't have energy anymore. But like the Kehillat says, I don't have a guarantee that if I abridge tefillah, people have kavanah. But you asked for my answers. Those are the answers that I received from HaRav Peretz and the Chachamim who I learned from.